It's the college football call-in show. Yes, it's Sunday night. You may be getting ready for Monday, but hey, you do have a moment to, listen to the show, maybe weigh in, maybe even hop on here and talk to me. The AP Top 25 came out today, and for some of you, maybe you don't care about that until you hear who dropped all the way out of the top 25 after losing yesterday, and it's two very well-known football teams, and it's hilarious. So, if you want to talk college football, listen, you don't have to turn your camera on. You can, in fact, turn it off and just join me on a call. But I am actually um, going to drop the link in here to where everyone can hop in who wants to hop in. And yeah, and chat. So there we go. I already see, see Big John getting into the live chat. Big John, you may want to hop on in here and see if we could get you on the show and chat for a second. So, everyone, I want to let you know real quick the criteria here. Let's just keep it family friendly. All right. All right. We always want to keep it family friendly. There's other channels you can get on and talk like a sailor who's had, way too many to drink. That's not my show. That's not how I do things. So just putting that out there either way, or I'm glad you're here, but if you want to hop on the show up, you'll do that. So anyway, I hope y'all will hop in here. Got Joshua Liner in here. Got Richard D'Amatos in here. Good to see you. Read the comments here as everyone's getting in here. By the way, I just dropped a link in here if you want to hop on here and have a quick chat with me. Try to keep it around 2 or 3 minutes long, no more than that, so other people can get in. The link is in the live chat. Let's see what Big John says. Hi, Captain Tiger America. Why did we not rush the dang ball more than 31 times? Our running backs need to get ready. Dadgum. I get exactly what you're saying. There was good things about yesterday. There was bad things about yesterday. The good thing that I'm highlighting is that we just got a win over a terrible team, but I'll take it at this point. That's where we're at in Clemson football. The good old days are over. Christopher Vizina came in and played. No offense to Vizina. He showed us he's not ready, and sitting on the bench does not make you ready. Okay, that's not a shot at him. Pearman, and I can't remember the personnel he was playing against. Pearman actually looked better than him yesterday. Okay, so seeing the running backs get in there was interesting. You probably wanted to see them run the ball a little more. I get it, but it's for me. I was happy just to see the quarterbacks get in as well. So I mean, at least we got the victory. But it's good to see you, Big John. Thanks for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Got Joshua Liner in here. What up? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. I'm about to go over this AP Top 25, and y'all, it's hilarious. Who fell out yesterday? Who fell out after their losses yesterday? Richard DeMatos, love your work, brother. Used to hate the Clemson critical thoughts. Now I agree completely. You're the man. Can't miss an upload. My friend, let me tell you this. I appreciate you coming on the channel and saying that, because I've had a lot of people in the past say to me, I thought you were a pessimistic jerk who was a know-it-all, right? And then there was a lot of things that you were calling out 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And I thought you were completely overreacting. I thought you were a spoiled brat. And now I see it. And there are certain people who won't come back and say, hey, just want to let you know, I used to argue with you. Now I see it. It takes a big man to say that, Richard. And so thank you. Thank you for coming on here and saying that. I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate the support. Benjamin Dover. Good to see you, my friend. T-Unit, what's up, Tiger Nation? I have a serious question. Why isn't Keith Adams Jr. not playing more? He's better than Easy. T-Unit, I've been asking what did Keith Adams Jr. do to deserve what he's getting? I mean, 2 years ago, even when Shipley and Maffa were there, he would get carries, and he looked really solid. He's not Barry Sanders. I'm not trying to make that up. I'm just saying. Where, what happened? And when he came in the few times yesterday, he actually did pretty solid. What happened? And if I hear one time, well, in practice, we're not talking practice. I get practice, but there are guys who do well in practice. They don't do well in the game. And to prove my point, Coach Swinney said that a couple of weeks ago when the media asked him if the problems that Clemson was having in the game, if they were having it in practice, and he said no. So that proves my point right there. Richard DeMattos. I'm probably butchering your name, dude. Forgive me. Having Tom Allen on the field made a huge difference in play-to-play activeness. The guys were fired up between plays, and it worked for big stops. Yeah, man. And a guy like that, you need that energy on the sideline, because I'm telling you right now, I've been to really quiet churches that's more fired up than that on the sideline. And those guys are supposed to be animals playing football. Testosterone just oozing out of their shoes. Nope. I've seen that Clemson sideline look and sound like a library. Brian, congrats on win, brother. Well, thank you so much, Eddie Blackburn. Good to see you in here. All right, I'm going to drop this link back in here. If you want to join me on the call-in, hop right in. There's the link. Let's keep it family friendly. All right. So I'm going to talk about the AP Top 25. Yesterday, well, let's talk about this now. The AP Top 25 comes out, and after the losses on Saturday, both Texas, who was ranked in the top 10, and Penn State, who was ranked in the top 10, fell completely out of the top 25. Maybe you missed what happened on Saturday. Penn State goes in and plays at UCLA. He goes into UCLA after that close game with Oregon just a week before. UCLA has fired their coach. From my memory, they lost. I'm going to adjust my mic here because I'm tired of leaning up. It makes me look funny. They lost their defensive and offensive coordinator. And yesterday, the last name is going to ring a bell for some of you that's been watching college football for a while. If you're 20, you're not going to know this name, this last name. Jerry Neuheisel. Yeah, Rick Neuheisel's kid. The guy that used to coach at Colorado, at UCLA. I want to say he was at Washington. His kid, which he's 33, it's not like he's a baby. This week, he was told he would be the offensive coordinator for the UCLA versus Penn State game. UCLA is 0-4. And he takes Nico. I'm not even going to give a shot at your last name from Tennessee, who that whole fiasco happened, has not been playing. I mean, their team hasn't been playing well at all. They're 0-4. I mean, come on. He called one of the best offensive schemes I've seen in a while and beat Penn State yesterday. 33-year-old Jerry Neuheisel finds out this week you're running the show, kid, and beat Penn State. And they were number 7 and dropped them completely out of the top 25. Wow. That is funny. I mean, I'm sorry. That is absolutely hilarious. And I want you to put yourself in that guy's shoes. you just watch the guy. I mean, you watch the head coach get fired, right? You watch the offensive and defensive coordinators. They're no longer in the picture. And you get the call to have to coach against the number 7 team in the country, and you beat them. Folks, it was glorious. I sat and watched that game. In complete and total disbelief. I'm not kidding. I sat and watched that game in total disbelief. And I mean, it shows you right there that when you give someone who is hungry, who wants the opportunity, a chance to coach, and look at them and say, listen, we're already in the dumpster. We're just going to give it to you. And whatever happens, it can't be any worse. It's what's happened to us already. And the kid goes out there and absolutely lights it up. He did that. I mean, he did it. It was unbelievable. And Penn State falls out of the top 25. I told y'all in the preseason, when there were a lot of people talking about Penn State's a top 5 football team, if you're a Penn State fan, which I run into very few of them, by the way, it's very funny. I run into very few Penn State fans. I run into a lot of fans of other schools, but not Penn State. And it's not like Penn State is Presbyterian. No offense, Blue Hoses. But it's Penn State. I run into Ohio State fans. I don't run into Penn State fans. But I said this. They could say, well, you know, Clemson was overrated. Sure, you got me. Your team was you returned so much experience this year. And I've said this before. James Franklin has made a lot of money coaching a game. Kudos to him. The guy has won a lot in the big games. James Franklin cannot win it. But yesterday, he played an 0-4 football team with a guy who was 33 years old who just found out, hey, you're running the offense. And his team got out coached. He has Jim Knowles calling defense for him. So when Tom Allen left and came to Clemson, Jim Knowles, the Ohio State defensive coordinator who just won the national championship for them, he beat that guy. Yep. Beat that guy. Jerry Neuheisel, remember that name, unless it goes to his head and he becomes nothing in the coaching sense, because he let it go to his head, stop working hard. Yesterday, he called one of the best game plans I've seen in a while. He took a quarterback who has been kind of the laughingstock of college football since his NIL deal fiasco with Tennessee happened, and he ended up getting less money and going to a losing team, and everybody's laughing at it. Yesterday, Jerry Neuheisel made Nico look really good. And folks, that comes back to coaching. I tell you this all the time, and a lot of you are like, oh no, here he goes again, because it's flipping true. Richard said, listen to me. Richard said, I used to think you were just pessimistic, man, just negative and overly critical. And then I realized, man, it's just, you calling it like you're seeing it. And it ends up being right. Folks, I just pay attention to things and then I say it. I used to get in trouble when I was younger. And I wasn't a kid who was like really loud and just creating trouble. But I remember, even as I got older and got into starting to get into the workforce, even when I did it the right way, I did it the wrong way, but I also did it the right way. Call out something that I would say and go, this is, I'm really questioning here. What's going to happen here? I think this is not going to end well, or someone's conduct over here. I think we need to pay attention to it because I think this is going to cause, I think it's going to cause trouble. Do you know how many times in my life I've had people look at me and go, you need to keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you. Right? And what I found out, everyone, is that people don't want anything. A lot of people don't want a lot of things fixed. They say they do until it's in the circle that they're interacting with. They don't want anything fixed. You know? So shut your mouth. The bad guy is not actually the bad guy. The bad guy is the person who wants to stop the bad guy. And so I'm used to it. I'm used to it. I'll be 43 in about 4 weeks. 3 weeks, in fact. I'm used to it. I can live with it. I'm a big boy. I'm a man. I'm 40. Actually, I am 40, but 42. But my point here is, I told you that Penn State, that James Franklin, I don't believe in him as a coach at an elite level. He can win you games. You're not going to get across the elite threshold. Let's flip over to the other team. Texas loses to Florida. Now, I picked Texas, but I said I could see them losing. I could see them losing this game. I told you in the preseason, Texas has lost a lot. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, they have more coming back. But on the offensive side of the football, they've lost a lot. Their top receivers, one of their leading rushers, if not their leading rusher. Of course, their quarterback. Everybody's focusing on Arch. No offense to Arch. No offense to the Manning family. It's just this guy hasn't led a team by himself with it being his show. And there's just too much thrown on this guy. And I said, I just don't think this is smart. I also use the analogy that if you were to take this guy, change his last name, or not him, take the team of Texas, let a lot of the teams lose the talent that they lost this past season. I said that those teams would be nowhere near the top 5 nor the top 10. And then yesterday happened. They're completely out of the top 25 after losing to Florida. Wow. And I don't hate Texas. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. I don't hate Texas. I don't have it in for the Longhorns. What I am saying is that when are we going to learn, folks? When are we going to learn that no matter whether it's Clemson, it's Texas, it's Ohio State, it's, all the way down to, Brevard College up in beautiful Brevard, North Carolina, if your team loses a lot of talent, you're going to have some growing pains. If your team has a coaching staff that continues to drop the ball left and right, and when your head coach walks up to a microphone, he talks about all the accolades that he has accomplished, but the coaching staff under him is not the coaching staff that helped him land those 6 consecutive playoffs and 2 national championships out of 3 years. That's a hypothetical situation. I know that wouldn't happen anywhere. When are we going to learn that? When is it going to click that if you lose most of your offensive line, and if you lose your 3 top receivers, Texas, and you lose your either first or second leading rusher, you're probably going to have some growing pains. You probably don't need to be ranked number 5 in the country or number 10, but we do it. Penn State, proven over and over again that James Franklin cannot win the big game. The statistic rolling around. In fact, I need to look at it. I'm going to do it right now live. By the way, this is a call-in show. No one is called in yet. Maybe you're just enjoying, chilling out. Don't blame you. I'm putting the link in the chat here. We're going to talk about Clemson here in a second, but I'm talking about college football as a whole right now because I know it's hard to believe there's other football teams out there other than Clemson, and you'd be shocked. They're paying their players, and those players are still playing for them. It'll floor you. Also, there's also teams out there, sit down for this one, that their coaching staff has a vested interest in ensuring that they are ready to actually play every game and consistently win. I know going undefeated is hard, but there's a lot of teams out there that, they're coaching it up. And I think Clemson fans need to know that. But I just placed the link in the chat here. If you want to call in, just keep it family friendly. Talk about college football, talk about Clemson football, and I'll bring you on the show. And let's try to limit the calls to about 2 or 3 minutes so anyone else can kind of get in here. And so I'll bring you on. We'll talk about whatever. Let's talk about Clemson yesterday. Clemson wins the ball game against North Carolina. North Carolina's awful. Clemson's up 28-0 at the end of the first half. The play calling was extremely creative. We saw a two-back situation. We saw pre-snap motion. We saw them using the tight end. We saw them taking shots downfield. We saw them imposing their will on North Carolina, and then we saw them stop. Now, let's stop there ourselves. We did see Vizina come in. And seeing Vizina yesterday, and Richard just joined us. I'm about to bring him on right now. Vizina came in yesterday, and what I feared was exactly what I saw. And that's no offense to Vizina, but literally, Vizina sitting on the bench is not getting experience, folks. Just throwing that out there. All right, I'm bringing on Richard. Richard, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for joining me. What's on your mind, my friend?
So, all right. So a little bit of background. So I went to Clemson, right? Graduated 18. I was there for the glory years, as we say. That 16 to 18 pathway. Who the worst coaching or development of a quarterback that I saw, as funny as it is, was Kelly Bryant, who was phenomenal. Love Kelly. I loved him at Clemson. I was actually one of the guys who didn't want to see the change made. The change being, going to Trevor so early. And boy, was I wrong about that. So I'm not afraid of being wrong when it comes to Clemson football. Now, the one thing I will say is I didn't believe that going into the older players or players that had played at Clemson that maybe had experience other places, I thought that was the best thing for us. If you're going to hire a young guy like a grad assistant coach, why not hire a guy who just won 2 national titles and was part of national championship caliber teams, right? Well,
right.
that has recently sizzled away, and I'm not sure if it's because of the transfer portal. So my number one thing is I've wanted to know your thoughts on this. We've got guys like Vizina, like you said. We've got a couple other QBs behind. I'm good buddies with Nolan Turner and Jamie Skalski. Jamie's over at Oklahoma right now. But the one thing that I've seen is bringing these guys in and then going and getting 5 stars from out of state. It has seemed like their development, if we don't win, if we don't come into a game and score on the first play, a lot of the guys on the team seem deflated. It doesn't seem like what it used to be where we could come back from Notre Dame or we could come back in a Louisville game. This isn't the Clemson of old. And I'm not sure if it's a Clemson problem or if it's just a complete change in college football. But we saw the same thing with Penn State, right? And I think a big issue with Penn State is the fact that we've got Tom Allen now. But you see a lot of these younger players coming in and the fire isn't there. I will say one of the changes that I have noticed, and this is just food for thought for anyone listening, is Dabo used to have a rule. If you played at Clemson 16 to 18 and even the years prior, during season, you used to not be able to use your Instagram, like posts and stuff like that. Now that's made a big change because of NIL. You have to have the sponsor post. You gotta, earn your due for all your contracts. But the icon of being a Division I college football player for a team like Clemson is completely different than it used to be. And now it's all about, well, I've earned the repertoire, I've earned the respect of being here. What's more incentive to win, right? So if we're down to
Right.
Troy, we are looking up to guys like Anna Randall, and that's it. That's all we've got.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different landscape, is what I feel like, and I'm afraid about our recruiting classes because we've dropped out of the top 5. We'd be lucky to get a number 11 recruiting class now. Honestly, we're
Yeah.
probably landing at the end of this year, end of 20s, early 30s, and
Mm.
those are not the teams you can build. Hell, you can't even build the Chick-fil-A Bowl versus LSU team with Taj Boyd and those boys off that. You know what I'm saying? And that was a
Oh yeah.
great team. So
Yeah.
it is scary to me to see where we're going, but it is exciting to see a little bit of spark on the sidelines. And to be honest with you, I know you're going to hate this, but what a joy it is to be burdened by your success. That's a problem a
Yeah.
lot of our peers would want to have, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that you should be complacent.
I agree with that. It's kind of like you hear me talk about expectations actually a compliment. People expect something of you, and that's basically them saying, "Yeah, I don't think you're a loser. I do believe that you can do what I expect you can, what I expect you can do." So I get exactly what you're talking about there. Let's go back to the players. You were talking about that just a moment. I think that one of the problems that we have, one of the several problems that we have here, is that I don't know if some of our coaches, all the way going up to Coach Sweeney, and I'm not taking a shot at him, but I am telling the truth here, knows how to appeal to the new desires and wants that has been created by NIL, whether we like it or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
By looking at them and saying, "Hey, instead of looking at me and say, "Hey, I want to be at Clemson because of the atmosphere," and I never mention money, I want to let you know it's okay if you mention, "Hey, I do want to make a lot of money in NIL while contributing to the team and doing something special." For me, I appreciate the honesty. So I don't know if they know how to appeal to that. Going back to what you were saying with the Instagram and so on, to where he didn't allow them to do certain things. You're 100% right. For them to receive sponsorship, they have to be able to do that. And so I think that a lot of changes have happened over the past few years, and Clemson has not adjusted to appealing to what is now the new norm. Hey, we know that you want to make a lot of money, and I think that Coach Sweeney needs to step back. Maybe he has, and I don't know it. But I think he needs to step back and go, I would be very hypocritical to look at these guys and say, hey, listen, I don't want to hear about money when you make, what, $60,000 a day? I think that something like that, it needs to probably step back and say, hey, I need to have some real conversations with these guys and see if that encourages them more, get them hyped up, because that can affect players. On the other side, you're talking about mental aptitude is really what you're going into. If talking about or referencing is when they go down 7-0 right off the bat and everybody's shoulders are slumped. It's like, you've got to get them up and then figure out, why is that? What has your culture done that has created that mindset to where if we don't go up 7 or 14-0 right off the bat and hold it and like that, all of a sudden these guys are disengaged. When you can turn on and watch Oregon, they're playing. Texas A&M, they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that is doing that. And I just don't know if Clemson's coaching staff, if their mindset knows how to handle the new culture of college football.
Yeah. And I will say this, as funny as it was, watching the game yesterday with my wife, and we both graduated from those great years.
Yeah.
I looked at her and I said, when we were up 38, I said, I hope we can find a way to hang 55. And it's not because I want that win or because I bet, triple on the spread or anything. It's because those were the craziest years. I walked that campus for years, and I feel like somebody in the comment section might resonate with me here. There was not a Saturday morning I did not wake up knowing we were going to win a home game and knowing we weren't going to win by 25 plus. That was
Yeah.
a different time. That was a Trevor Lawrence time. But as much of the student section would leave early to go to the bars downtown, it
Yeah.
felt like that stadium was full. every backup was ready to show why they deserve to be there. Now I feel like it's dead. There's no reason to be on the sidelines throwing a towel up and down, looking at the student section. It's, well, we're down, and even if we're up by 7 points, I'm not getting fired up because I'm not going in. The best years of watching my buddies like Nolan and Jamie was, I mean, they did phenomenal on the field, but before they could get on the field, they were in the student section going crazy, throwing towels, freaking out. Everybody was going crazy. It was like a different animal of those guys out there. And it was every person you felt like could make that play.
Right.
There wasn't a play that Makuba made that you felt like maybe Shelton Lewis could have made. And that's another thing I want to talk about if you give me the minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
go for it.
there wasn't a single play that was made you didn't feel like somebody behind him could make. Even Deshaun getting hurt, there was the Georgia Tech game and all that where everyone was worried. I was never worried about Kelly. I was never worried about Chase Bryce. Everyone always had a pit in their stomach about, oh man, Trevor's down, Chase is going in against Q's. I knew in that moment, I was like, we're going to be all right. There was no doubt in my mind the guys in the second string couldn't do what the guys in the first string could do. And that's what scares me, right? Is the perception of, well, this isn't the Clemson of old, so we're just going to hang by and do what we can. So, number one, Shelton Lewis, having somebody leave mid-season, I haven't felt, not that he was a Kelly, right? But when that happened, the transfer announcement happened for Kelly, everybody was like, wow, is this the new age? To Clemson fans, that was the new age of college football. The fact that you could transfer out. This is pre-transfer portal too. So it was, pre-4 games. If you decide to transfer, you can transfer within season and play the next season, right? Regardless if it's in conference or not. Now it's your transfer mid-season. The purpose you're doing it and putting it out early is to get feelers on teams that don't have your position. Right. So you're doing it for money. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to leave a team like Clemson that's won 8 out of the last 10 ACC championships and had all the runs we've had because, man, I just don't like the cows around here anymore. Everybody's leaving for the money, right? It's completely different. So there's that aspect, and while I hate it, I don't blame Shelton because it's to him, I feel like it was like, you know what? I'm going to go get my prime somewhere else. And Makuba had a good run over at Texas. A lot of people out there knew his name. They bought his jerseys. So that is just the new era of college football. And if you're a coach like Dabo, or I'm going to bring in Garrett, if you're a coach like that, your duty to those players is to make it so that they don't feel the need to look elsewhere. This is home. So the one thing I want to bring up and see if what your take is a lot of people have brought up that, Dabo might not be an X's and O's guy, and he's a phenomenal leader. And I love that about him. I love the leadership qualities. I do love that we have a phenomenal graduation rate. Here's my one thing I would say to anybody on the street. When you go to Clemson, I submit to you that there are, and you play for Clemson, I submit to you that there are players, there are guys on the sidelines that want to be you that are playing in high school right now. Somewhere in here, there's a family that has saved money all year to buy this pass, to buy this ticket, to climb to the top of that darn stadium to watch your tail play. You owe them something.
Yes.
Right? It's so much more than just the graduation rate. It is an entire, while I say it business, it's a family. That's what people have talked about. Clemson's a family. Bama was always supposed to be a factory.
Right.
These guys need to play for something more than just the numbers on the scoreboard, which please play for that.
Yeah,
I mean, being 5-0 right now would feel pretty awesome. But there's so much more to it than just, hey, we're here for the wins and we're here for the Instagram posts.
Right. I agree with you there. You're talking about the really good teammates, and John and Bobby Durkin Sr. Coming up to y'all, whoever Bobby Durkin Sr. is right now. No, I agree with you. I agree with you that I mean, at least look at the fans and realize that there's a lot of people who just, it's so flipping expensive to get an okay seat. And, at least look at the little kids in the crowd and go, you know what? I'm going to bust it. I'm going to bust my butt for them. I'm going to bust my butt for them. And here's the thing. If you're treating it like a business, if you go out there and you win the hearts of fans and you bust your butt, your valuation's going to go up. So I don't know what is going on with some of these people. But Richard, thanks for calling in, my man. I'm about to move on to someone else, but don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. It's good to hear
Always.
from you.
Thank you, brother.
Take
See ya.
care, my man. John's up. John, how's it going, my man? Thanks for holding.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry.
Doing
Can you
well.
hear me?
How's it? Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay. Well, I think I just ought to give my background now as well because he gave his background. I was a Clemson student from 2019 to 23, roughly. So I was kind of the different era per se, where my freshman year I got to see Trevor Lawrence and them kind of go in and lose to Joe Burrow and that LSU team, which sucks, but it is what it is. I had my older siblings; they got to see both Deshaun and Trevor win, which they aren't even really big football fans, but is what it is. Kind of a little envious there. But I guess my thing is, it seems like, how do I say this? I don't want to say that Garrett Riley's going to get fired, but I could kind of almost, I don't see the writing on the wall in a way.
Mhm.
And I hate that. Like you said, I don't want to see no one get fired like that. Like I
Right.
would hate to get fired from the job I'm in right now, but part of me looks at it and he hasn't done, the job that we put him out there to do. And, I hear a lot of people on, a couple friends of mine that I talk with about Clemson football all the time. And it's just like, maybe Garrett doesn't have the guys in the position coaches, because I saw some list out there and it was like 90% of all the position coaches and all the guys that are supposed to be there, like, CJ Spiller, they're former Tigers. And,
Mhm. Yeah.
it kind of, again, I don't blame them for taking the job. And, but the thing I have to think about with that, and I don't know if it's a question, but do you not think that, CJ Spiller, who did he have as a running backs coach when he was, the running back for Clemson?
I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Right, but I guess the thing I'm kind of saying is, like, I don't know if CJ Spiller had a former Clemson running back as his running back coach, but I feel like, you got to do a service to the guys now.
I'm looking that up right now. Who was CJ Spiller's running back coach at Clemson? Let's see. Are you still there? John, are you still there? John, I think I lost John. Now I'm going to have to bring him back. John is gone again, and I was about to bring him back on. John, see if you can join again, because I got Bobby Durkins Sr. and Brad coming up after that. Calling for John. Sometimes those connections are really, really finicky. All right. Let's see. John, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry about that. I guess I got
disconnected there. That's fine. But you go ahead and finish your thought.
I mean, I'm just saying that I think all the guys in all of the positions, when you go to Clemson, or at least, back when these guys were, committed, they're expecting the best of the best. Obviously,
Right.
A lot of them came in for money, but I just feel like, again, with these former Clemson hires, they're not getting that. Like CJ Spiller, he was a great running back when he was, during his time and tenure at Clemson. And, I don't think CJ Spiller had a guy like CJ Spiller as a running back coach. He had a guy that developed him.
I get what you're saying there. And if you watch my show a lot, that's exactly what I complain about nonstop. That this coaching staff, John, I want to say this. When Coach Swinney walks up to the microphones and he starts talking about, when he gets irritated, we know what he does. He starts talking about all the success that they've had. Now, of course, that was before they lost to Syracuse by double digits in a game that they were supposed to win by 17 points. The week that Coach Swinney, talked about that, and he's talked about it in the past. John, that coaching staff that helped him get 6 consecutive playoffs and 2 national championships in 3 years, they're nowhere near this football team. Hadn't been near this football team. And I get exactly what you're saying. He had a regular running backs coach, a guy who was not a star at his school, but there's a lot of coaches who were not stars playing football, but they can coach. Nick Saban played football, but Nick Saban was not a great football player.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll go down as one of the best coaches to ever coach sports. Sports. And I mean, I get exactly what you're saying, and I agree with that 100%. 100%.
And I guess I don't want to make this sound like an echo chamber. You know, I know that in a way I am kind of reiterating your opinion, just in a different font per se. And I guess another question I have is, I mean, who would you want to like be the new position coaches, and who would you want to be the new OC? I know the DC, he just got here. Like, I've watched some of your videos before, and I can keep up with the news in the off season. He just got here, and I mean, him being on the sidelines this past weekend seemed to really help things up and energizing the defense. But I mean, who would you want? You know,
I tell you what I would do. I would sit down and I would make a list, and by the way, that's a really good question. I would sit down and look at who are the most effective coaches across the country. Like Matt Luke. I know everybody's dumping on Matt Luke right now because the offensive line is having its struggles and so on. Folks, I'm telling you, he's one of the very few legitimate coaches we have on this staff. Please don't run him off. Please don't. That guy, yeah. And I know you're not saying that, but please, folks, don't do that. But I would want to sit down and look at a list of offensive coordinators who are doing very well right now. They coach very well in the big games. They don't get out coached whenever they play someone with a pulse and has some talent. And then break down who are the best position coaches right now, and pull that together. And then that's how I would do it. Because for me, a lot of people would probably say, well, you know, okay, that sounds good and stuff. Well, what Coach Sweeney has done, he has given jobs to guys who I'm not saying that they're not good coaches. They're not Clemson level coaches. And if Clemson is different, if Clemson is special, I'll put it this way. You cannot treat something uncommon commonly. You have to take special care of, if you have a car that you've restored, or it's in its original shape and it's like a classic, you can't treat it like you would treat any old car. You can't. And let's translate that to Clemson. Let's transfer that mindset, over to Clemson. If Clemson's special, if Clemson's an elite job, what that means is you can't include everybody. It's an exclusive job. So only a certain group of people have the ability and the skill set to walk that sidelines. And what we're seeing right now is what happens when you fill those positions with people who are not Clemson level coaches as a whole. And so to answer your question, I would have to sit down and look and say, who's the elite at their position? Who is elite right now? Now let's go get them. That's what we need to do.
That's a good video idea right there. So you're welcome. But
thank you.
But I mean, if I had to say one more thing, I mean, whoever developed both Cam Ward and John Mateer at Washington State, I would look at it and give an immediate call for it, because that guy seems to be doing pretty good, and having Cam Ward as a Heisman finalist and John Mateer moving on to Brent and him being a Heisman finalist, you know, despite his injury and all of that. But
sure.
I mean, it's got to be done fast. I mean, Clemson's running out of goodwill at this point. And, you know, like, I don't know how to say this other than, like, you know, I feel like we're kind of swirling on the toilet. You know, we're kind of about to go down the toilet, and we're just swirling right now. And, like, you know, we got a chance to, in this off season, make big changes, but I don't know if I'm going to hold my breath for it.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there, John. I don't. A lot of people, you can go ahead and call me a naysayer. All right, I'm fine. What's our record again? Ask. What's our record again? Just wondering for anyone who thinks I'm being a naysayer. I'm not holding my breath that any changes will be made.
Yeah,
Maybe
I agree.
one. This coaching staff needs to almost a full overhaul. Almost every one of them probably needs to go to a school where they can even be developed as coaches, because I don't think they're being. There's just something there. But well, John, thanks for calling in. I got a few more in front and behind you. But man, don't be a stranger. I appreciate you being on here.
No, thank you. Have a good one.
You take care. Bobby Durkin Sr. and Brad, I'm coming to you. Hey, folks, I'm doing this is a live call-in show. Bunch of people's getting into the comment section. I'm dropping the call-in link here. You don't have to be on camera. It just, well, a phone call. But yeah, a lot of questions coming up with Clemson. And I'm telling you, when you sit and you watch other college football teams, it will blow you away that they are paying players, and those players are still playing for them very well. It's weird. It's really, really weird. Bobby Durkin Sr., I can't wait for this one. Who is this? Big John. Big John, are you there? Big John. Bro. I bet he was on hold so long he went to the bathroom. Big John, I can't hear you. I tell you this, Big John, I'm going to hold off and let me know. Let me know when you, because I can't hear you. I'm going to go to Brad next, since I can't get a level on Bobby Durkin Senior. Brad, are you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Brad, thanks for joining me, man. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, sure.
So how's it going?
I'm not too bad. How many more games you guys got in you this year? How many y'all gonna win?
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to look past Boston College, and I don't care how bad Boston College is. I still feel quite comfortable saying they could definitely beat us. So that's where I'm at with this thing.
I think that's a toss-up game. I looked at the stats that both teams have put up, and they're almost identical.
Yeah. They're. I mean,
so what do you think the problem here? What do you think the problem here is with Clemson?
It's hiring a bunch of coaches that are not at elite status. That and living off the collateral, living off the collateral of a coaching staff that's no longer there.
I 100% agree with that.
That coaching staff, and that's something that I try to get across to everyone. That coaching staff that got them 6 consecutive playoffs and 2 national championships in 3 years, I think only 2 members of them is left on this coaching staff: Dabo Swinney and Mike Reed, the DB's coach. So while everybody's talking about NIL and transfer portal, yes, you can use that here and there. The main problem at Clemson is coaches. You can transfer portal it up, baby, and we still don't have the coaches as a whole to lead this team.
I 100% agree with that. I think it's mainly the coaching staff. I do think there needs to be a little bit more portal and NIL use, but that's not portal and NIL are not the main call. I would say like 75% of it's the coaching staff. All right, so the next question would be, what's the fix here? Because every single time somebody seems to complain, coach goes on and goes, "Don't you appreciate what I've done for you?" I mean, he just goes on these rants over and over and over again. And like I understand what he did for Clemson. I get all that. At what point do you go, look, dude, you got to go?
Right.
You're not going to make the changes. You get paid too much to give us what you're giving us. Tyler from Spartanburg was 100% right, and there's a reason you stopped your call-in show, because you don't want to hear the adversity anymore. You don't want to hear the criticism. So if the problem is the coaching staff, which comes back to Dabo, at what point do we finally cut ties and move on to a new coaching staff that can revive the program, or do we keep letting this guy drive us into the fucking dumpster that Philip Fulmer did to Tennessee?
Well, here's the thing, Brad, and you're not going to like this, and I don't even like saying it, but you can't fire this guy. Clemson
Why?
can't Clemson can't afford to fire him.
Why?
They can't afford it.
Yeah, they can.
I believe it's that's a $60 million buyout. They can't do it. They can't. That's the reason why you hear me complain that, and I've said this recently, Brad. A lot of people's talking about, oh man, this paying the players is what's really ruined college football. And I said, nope, we need to step back and look at it. When coaches started getting paid $5 and $10 million a year with a $50 million buyout, that was when college football really was thrown in the casket, and there was a nail put in the coffin. The lower in the coffin down into the ground was when you started paying the players. They can't buy him out. That's one. Two, I'm one of the most competitive individuals you'll ever meet in your entire flipping life. So for me to say this is like speaking Mandarin for me.
Now, I like watching your channel because you're like it's like an actual realistic take on what's happening with Clemson. You're the only one that's bearable really to watch. But
I
think the root cause of the problem is Coach Sweeney. And if he's not willing to change, somebody's going to have to basically retire him, since he won't retire himself. Because I'm watching this program, and it looks identical to Philip Fulmer in Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not arguing with you that Coach Sweeney even said this past, Monday or Tuesday? Coach Sweeney said, listen, I'm the guy who hired these coaches, and the coaches hasn't gotten them, ready. So it does come back to me. That the problem is that if they can't buy him out, then you fire the guy that gave you 2 national championships. Who wants that job? The job that the person you go and hire better be somebody like Urban Meyer. And I know a lot of people make fun of Urban Meyer until he comes to your school and makes you a winner again, and then you love him.
I just don't see one of the things Coach said was, get rid of me, I'm going to go somewhere else and I'm going to win. I don't see any program in a Power 4 conference that's going to want anything to do with this guy.
I don't think
he's going to be stepping down to it at a minimum, the G5 level, rework his image, because right now he's just flushing himself down the drain because his conferences are worse than the performance on the field.
Yeah. You know me, I don't like to go after people and just tear them down, but I also like to tell the truth. And I'm going to have to say this. Coach Sweeney is the one who hired this inexperienced coaching staff, and now he's firing a coach once per year. One coach per year. When this coaching staff needs a complete and total overhaul, Coach Sweeney has also really, really tarnished his legacy. The only other coach I know right now who's tarnishing, well, I'm going to leave that alone. He is tarnishing his legacy by walking up to a mic and going, if y'all are mad, y'all need to basically stop being mad. And the fans are sitting here going, you showed us what the standard was. You were the one who created the standard and lived
exactly
up to it. We're not seeing that standard anymore.
That's exactly my problem with the stuff he says. When he says, you guys don't appreciate what I've done for your program, it's because of you that we have this level of expectation. Yeah. What do you mean we don't appreciate it? Of course we do. But the fact that we're not there anymore. So I've had a lot of people tell me recently, well, we'll be fine. Look at FSU. They went 13-1, turned around and went 2-10. And now look at them, they're doing really good this year. My argument back to that is that's a transfer portal heavy team. This is a homegrown from high school team. These are I just watched the backups come in for the whole second half and score 3 points on the worst team in college football. What do you think we're going to look like next year?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything you're saying, Brad, is 100% right. But I am telling you from the standpoint, again, I agree with you, right? I don't hear anything other than I do agree with you. And I've
I mean,
ranted and
if we
raved.
don't win but 6 to 7 games this year, what are we winning next 7?
That next year you'll be lucky to win 5
I
or
agree.
6 ball games.
I agree with you.
5 or 6 ball games. You can't fire him because of the money and because he won 2 national championships. They're not going to be able to fire him. And if they were to fire him, they have to have a coach like an Urban Meyer who says, yep, I'll come in and I can fix it. And everybody in Clemson right now, and not to cut you off, Brad, I just want to say this real quick to everyone who's probably about to lose their mind. Urban Meyer, if he wanted to come to Clemson, oh, I know you talk about what he does off the field and everything and everything. You let him win you a national championship and y'all be loving you some Urban Meyer. With that said, you cannot fire Dabo Swinney. You can't.
But why? I watch every other school and they give a coach a couple years chance, and as soon as they screw up real bad, that coach is gone. I mean, Orgeron won a national title, and arguably compared to the 2018 Clemson, the 2019 LSU was, tick for tack. They still fired Coach Orgeron.
Yeah.
So
it's just
why can't
it's not going to
Swinney?
It's not going to happen, my man.
That's
it won't.
Crazy.
It won't. Between the money, it's between the money, and here's the other thing: how will the school look? Believe it or not, the school would take they will take. It would take a shot at Clemson, but that's the downside of this too. I'm looking at Dabo Swinney. I agree with him. He's got a lot of football left in him. My question is, why is he not just accepting it right now? Guys, this coaching staff is not what it needs to be, and I'm just going to basically clean house and bring in the best position coaches and coordinator. Well, the offensive coordinator, his contract, from what I remember, runs out at the end of this season, so I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to go out and get the best of the best, and we're going to figure out how to appeal to these guys, even if it's on a monetary basis. We're going to get this thing rolling again. I believe he could do it. My problem is I don't think that he is willing to truly accept it, even right now at 2-3. I don't believe that, folks. And I'm not trashing the man. I appreciate what he's done too. I'm just looking at a guy who, when he walks up to the press conference microphone and he gets a little agitated, he lets it come out that we shouldn't be expecting anything.
I don't think any of us are not appreciating what he's done for the university at all. That's the problem. Is he keeps trying to make this him against his fans, and I don't think that's the problem. Nobody appreciating what he's done for Clemson. Everybody is not appreciating what's happening in the current state. I mean, the trend was there; it was obvious. Like, let me make a quick point, and then I want to get out of here so you can get somebody else on here. But the trend was obvious. I mean, you're losing 2 and then 3 and then 3 and then 4 and then 4, and it was like there was this inevitable cliff that we were about to fall off of. So the preseason hype this year, I personally wasn't buying it. I was looking at the schedule. I don't see a national title contending team. I see 5 losses. People told me I was crazy. This was a 5-loss team before the season started to me. I feel like at this point in the season, I feel like I was too high. I feel like that we might not get only 5. We might get 6 or 7 if we're not careful. Boston College, to me, is a very evenly matched team. I think, if you look at the yardage by the QBs, the interceptions, the touchdown ratio, the QB rating, you look at the running back yardage, the wide receiver yardage, it's all identical to Boston College's team. And that's going to be a hard-fought game. It's a toss-up. I don't see us beating Louisville. I don't see us beating FSU. I don't see us beating SMU. I mean, there's a lot of losses left on the schedule. It's going to be tough to watch. Next year is going to be worse. Like I said, I just watched all the players that are going to be starters next year put 3 points. That's it, on the worst team in FBS. North Carolina is horrible. and we put 3 points on them. That's crazy
Yeah.
to watch. I couldn't believe on them. That was insane.
Yeah.
Lastly, I don't know what else to say here other than if we can't get rid of him, this man needs to have a come to Jesus moment. It's like, seriously, he needs to really look at what he's doing with his coaching staff. I seen Pigskin Pete talk about how he wants to see us run the ball. Look, Pete, if you're watching, if you're out there, that's not who the offensive coordinator is. He said he compared him to Mike Leach. Well, that's what that guy did at TCU. That was a throw heavy team. Of course, that's what Garrett Riley is going to do. He's going to throw the ball. What did we hear about in the preseason about all these elite wide receivers, right? The hype was around the quarterback and the wide reason because that is exactly what Garrett Riley does. He throws the ball. You're not going to see much running from this team because that's not what Garrett Riley does. With that, buddy, I'm gonna hop out so you can move somebody else in.
It's good to talk to you, Brad, and appreciate
Later,
your
buddy.
passion, man. Take care. Thanks for watching. All right, I'm going to try Bobby Durkins Sr. one more time before I get to Larry. Bobby Durkins Sr., are you in here? Big John. Big John, are you there? Calling Big John. Thank you, Walmart shoppers. Would a Big John Sutton come to the counter? Your party is requesting you.
Hello.
Are you there? Are you there?
May there.
Big John.
May there.
May there,
May
booger.
there. What are you
How
doing?
goes it? I'm just
My team.
sitting here talking.
Uh-oh,
Are
there
you
goes
there?
the dog. I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Oh, good. Hey, Harriet done brought me something cold to drink, so hold on. Oh, that was a good one. You talking about number 22 yet? The great Cole Turner? I got to know, Brian. I got to know. You talking about the great one?
You know, Cole Turner, this is the first time his name has come up tonight.
Dadgum, I don't know why that is. The boy, I saw a guy named Big John. He done commented. He said, you give him the ball 7 times, you get 70 points. That don't match to me. But you give him the ball 10 times, you get 70 points. And then you just go about the rest of the game. You play the other 70 plays. So I'm saying right now that you put in the number 22 and you throw it long. You do the jet sweep. You do another jet and you throw it long. You throw a post and you throw a corner. And the number 22, the only 6-star ever in the history of Clemson Tiger and college football, scored 70 points. And that's just in the first quarter.
70.
The first quarter. You
First quarter.
understood that, right? That's correct. And I got to know.
It's simple math.
The karma coming off of this game. The karma coming off of this big win in North Carolina. We could have scored 200 points if we wanted to. It's just amazing. It's just, you were comparing old cars and new cars. Well, this car, the Karma car, is a lot better than the Carmen Ghia. And I know you understand
Yes.
that, my friend. The Carmen Ghia. But I heard some negativity. I heard the F-bomb. Poor old Harriet, she done lost her mind when she heard the F-bomb. She said, get off that thing. So I had to go hide away because I heard the F-bomb. And then I'm telling you what, Brian, you're a young little whippersnapper, but all of these people coming on here, they don't show their faces because they all got a face for radio. You, on the other hand, a good-looking young man, need to put your face out there so that we can all see it. And I'm telling you what, the karma is with the Clemson Tigers. It's with them. We're going to do great. And we need some wisdom from you because the positivity is really, really what's starting to happen right now. We felt the positivity come in from the Brian K. Knight channel. And the positivity made us all happy. And have mercy. I'm about to get winded. It's like almost almost reminded me of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes there for a minute. Got all positive, and it was all happy. And Brian, Mayday. You had the best evening you could possibly. You're supposed to be in church on a Sunday night. But oh, Harriet, she brought me something cold to drink, and it's frosty, and it's frothy, and it's malted, and it's delicious. And you got to tell people no F-bombs. Watch the F-bombs, people. And don't be thinking that the Clemson Tigers from the poor little place of Clemson, South Carolina, come up with those $60 million to pay off no daggone Dabo. Dabo's our boy. He's going to be with us for about 5 more years. Hopefully he win about another 600 or 700 games, and it'll be fantastic. So you can ask me anything you want, but remember, Bobby Durkin, Senior, he's the one and only, the king of the universe, and he is ready for the questions from the great one, Brian K. Knight.
Woo! That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm beginning to wonder how many frosty ones Harriet's actually brought you over there.
Harriet's bringing me frosty beverages every 5 minutes at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I believe it. Even with old duels, that would begin to add up.
Oh, who's? We don't drink none of them. That's not good. That ain't no good. That ain't no good frosty beverages. Good gracious. There ain't no alcohol in those. Every 5 minutes, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, all weekend long, it's a party down here at the Bobby Durkin Senior Retirement Village. Yes, it is. and we love the Brian K. Knight. And I was out there in the shed with Junior. They were out there. I don't know where they learned it from, but they was drinking too. They had the frosted beverages themselves.
No, well, Junior's 9, so that's a problem.
Well, Junior is 9, but he can drink a case of beer before noon. I've seen him do it.
I have images in my head of Junior actually doing that. Anyway.
Okay, Brian, I hope you have a lovely evening.
Big John, you made my night, my man.
Entertainment. You needed some entertainment, dude.
Let me now. Of course, I don't bring my which my oldest is 19. It doesn't matter now, but I don't. Me and my wife talked, and I really don't want to bring like my kids on air because you know how weird the internet gets. But Junior's actually in the room right now. He and I went to I'm not an NFL guy, but he loves the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, they're terrible, but he loves the Dolphins. So I took him to see Miami play Carolina today. And he's thrilled. So when you were talking about the whole case, I was sitting there in my head just thinking about him in his little Dolphins outfit. Anyway,
there is nothing better you can do for a young man to bring into a game to see his favorite team play. My first NFL game was 1969 or 70. And it was the Joe Namath led New York Jets versus the Len Dawson's Kansas City Chiefs in like an AFC, not a wild card playoff game. And it was cold. It was seriously cold, and the wind was howling, and it was really, really blustery. So that's good memories for your son. Great job being a great dad. Dad. And we appreciate you, Brian.
Well, Big John, you've always been a friend to the channel, always said kind things, and been a monthly supporter, folks. This guy supports on a monthly basis, and I appreciate that. So thanks for calling in.
I send him a couple of beers a month. That's all I send him.
Premium, Frosty, and Harriet brings it.
Frosty.
There we go.
Okay. See you, Daddy. Oh, bye.
Take care, Big John. It's good to hear from you, man.
Right.
Larry, I'm coming up to you. It was always good to hear Big John. Yeah, I took Bobby Durkins Jr. to the to the game. He did not know he was going to the game. He was getting ready for church this morning. So he took a shower, put on his clothes, and he put on like where we go to church, you don't dress up. But he got his, they were a little nicer, you know. And I bought him a special Miami Dolphins shirt, right? And I was going to give it to him. Well, then he's getting ready for church. And then my wife was like, you're going to have to tell him he's going to see the Dolphins play. And so I walked downstairs and I said, hey, get it on camera so we can relive this memory. And I told him, I said, hey, listen, there's been a change today. You're not going to church. And he loves going to church. And he said, okay. I said, here. And when I gave him the Dolphin shirt, he opens it up and he looks and he was like, well, thank you. And I said, you're going to see Miami play Carolina today. And he was super excited. And if you're a father or if you've raised someone, whenever you can do something that makes their day, I used to not get it, and now I do. It really makes your day. So he's over here playing in the floor while I'm doing this video. But yeah, we had a really good time. Larry, I'm going to get in here. Everybody, let's try to keep this family friendly as best we possibly can. Get in here. Larry, thanks for hanging on, my friend.
So was that last caller, was that actually Dusty Rhodes?
No, no, it was not, but he did a good job, didn't he?
He was cutting a promo. It was like that. Instead of, it was the hard times promo, he was talking about the good times. I was like, holy, it's nice to have the American dream back for a little bit. Happier times,
yeah,
and all that. But yeah, I'm just here to complain about the offense more.
Go for it, my man. This is your sounding board.
That dad burn. I was losing my mind watching them just throw it over the top against UNC. It's good to see. I like watching, spread the field, get the receivers some touches, but just not running the ball, all that stuff. When you do run the ball, you get stuffed because, I don't know. I was like, I don't think we have the players for air raid, but Garrett Riley, he wants nothing more than to implement the air raid. And I got a buddy who's a big USC fan, Southern California.
Right.
And so I've been watching some games with him. Lincoln Riley's doing the same thing, but he's really committing to the run. Like, he uses the run to set up the pass, and they cycle running backs. And, every single drive, if it's not going well for Clemson, it's like 1st and 10 pass, incomplete. 2nd and 10, run, gain 2 or 3 yards. 3rd and 7, screen pass. And it's just the most finesse, do nothing, cover up, turtle up when things go wrong type of offense. And it's just so darn annoying. But yeah, another thought that I had recently, there's a lot we talk about the coaches and the disappointment. I do wonder, guys like CJ Spiller, Ben Boulware, people like that, before Clemson, I remember there was a while Ben Boulware had himself some sort of gym in Greenville. Yeah. I forget what CJ Spiller was doing, but I started thinking, did these coaches reach out to Dabo, or did Dabo reach out to them?
Yeah.
Because you wonder, like, is it just like, hey man, I got nothing to do? Mind if you pay me $500,000 or a couple mil? I'll coach Division I football and not develop anybody. So I was just thinking about that, but I mean, I think everyone's already covered it. There's like a rot kind of in the program, and it's going to be 3 to 5 years to fix it. There's just no intensity. And another thing, I saw somebody say, like, Matt Luke, the way that he might set up his offensive line, their blocking assignments, because you think about before he was at Clemson, he was at Georgia. I think he was there when Todd Monken was there.
He was there when Todd Monken, who not to interrupt you here, in my opinion, hands down, one of the best offensive coordinators I've ever seen in my entire flipping life.
Oh, absolutely. The magic he's done with the Ravens, like, and granted, he's spoiled
Go ahead,
for
sorry.
options. No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
He's spoiled for options up there. But you look at that's kind of like a Kubiak type scheme where you'll do a lot of misdirection. It's like, the 49ers Shanahan type offense that's really popular in the NFL right now. And I wonder if the blocking scheme that Matt Luke's implementing isn't compatible with the air raid. And I don't know, I'd like to hear if you have any thoughts on that or anything else you wanted to, since I've been rambling.
No. You've been waiting for a while. I want to hear what you have to say. I agree with that. I was thinking the other day, what happened to the offensive line? Because the offensive line improved last year. It really did.
Absolutely.
As the season went on, and then something kind of happened this year. I think that's a really good point there. We have to understand that if a scheme is running one way and the offensive line is set up to produce for another scheme, it's not going to work.
Right.
And I think that's a really, really good point. I would love to go, and I've said this before, and you've probably heard me say this. I would love to go inside of Matt Luke's mind. A guy who's been around, he's seen excellence up close and been part of it. I would love to, if I could drug him in a way. Please, folks, just take this as I'm saying. It sounds bad. Like drug him with a truth serum or something.
Just put a little something in his drink.
And go, okay, now tell me what you really think about the coaches you work with. And I bet you he would go, nice guy, but not the person that should be running this position or running that, coaching that position. Or, I mean, I guarantee you, if you could get the guy to tell, let me rephrase this, to say, just tell it like it is without any inhibitions, I think we know what he would say. And I agree with you. I think that's a really good point, actually.
I mean, honestly, I'd like to get Dabo's real thoughts because, we all love him, love his Southern charm, and he really grabs your attention. I remember when I was in school, I was helping working on the floats one year. I think it might have been my freshman year, and he came over. And golly, he just makes you feel like you're the most important person in a room. Yeah. Right? But I'd like to know what his honest thoughts on this is. Is he actually just, we got to stay the course. I'm doing the right stuff. We'll break through eventually. Or is he kind of, oh no, things are going poorly. I got to do something. If he's like kind of panicked, but we'll never know. Probably won't even be able to tell from the off season, honestly. If he brings in a new offensive coordinator and he says, bring whatever guys you want with you, except an offensive line coach, that would that would really be a step in the right direction for me, I think.
Yeah.
That would kind of let me know he's trying something new. And that's kind of all we can do right now, because it's such a nebulous, amorphous problem and failure on so many levels that there's not one thing you can point to. Just frustrating, because I'm a software engineer. I'm all about how can I let me pinpoint what's going on, and figure out the root cause. And it's just like you peel one layer of poop away, there's another layer of poop, and it's going to be a long time before they can fix it. I mean, they could strike gold and just get like a portal team next year and make a run, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Larry, I'm going to pause you right there. I knew by talking to you that you were, I was pretty sure you were a software engineer, because I'm not a software engineer, but I've worked with a ton of software engineers on the sales and sales and account management side. I knew it. And I'm going to tell you this, even though I'm not an engineer, I'm a troubleshooter just that's naturally how I am. And so between how I am naturally, and then working with a lot of engineers, I could tell first. And then next, when you start to get in that mindset, you look at a football team and how an organization is run a lot differently. And this is not just like the guys are showing up and playing football, and there's no magic it's just a bunch of magic or luck. There is systems that are put into place to produce a certain outcome. And if it's not producing a certain outcome, in software, we would say it's broken. It doesn't work. And it's a lot the same with football.
I'd be trying to just get the blame away from me if it's software. I'm like, I didn't do it. But
I did. Yeah. No, but you're 100% right. You have to troubleshoot. And part of troubleshooting is you just have to be honest with yourself. What's not working? Well, most of it. Okay. But I'm just not seeing that. That is what I'm concerned about with this team. Is I'm highly concerned that really no changes are going to really be made. And I agree with you. You bring in a new offensive coordinator, you better find the best offensive coordinator in America, bring him in and say, whoever you want to bring in, you bring in. They're yours. And we'll open up the checkbook and pay them. Just get them here. I would feel way better if he did that. But I'll tell you this, he could go get the best offensive coordinator in the country right now and say, but you can't bring your crew with you. And I would go, oops. All right, now you're setting him up for failure.
Yeah. I mean, and, they still clearly, they've got some cachet, because, you're getting you got Tom Allen, you got Garrett Riley. So, but you got to, I think you made a video about this. You got to cash in while you still can on some of that. But I don't know. Also, defensive line is still annoying, but whatever. That ain't going to change.
Yeah, it goes back to position coaches. I think we've all pretty much narrowed in on this, and I've stuck to my guns for now years, and we're realizing that's pretty much it, But I'm with you, man. There's just so many things. You're just sitting here. If you have a mind that troubleshoots, even when you don't want to troubleshoot, it just starts running through things. You're like, why won't this stop? Why can't I sleep? When you look at this football team, it does that. And then what you realize is it's going to have to be Coach Swinney, who has as Brad said, a come to Jesus with himself, that the vast majority of the coaches on my squad that I brought in, I may love them. They may need to, they don't need to quit coaching. It's just they're not at a Clemson level yet, and I'm going to have to make some tough decisions and go bring in the best.
Right.
And Larry, I just don't believe he's going to do it. I just don't think
Yeah.
that he has it in him to do it now because he already has 2 championships. What does he have to prove?
I don't know. And like, I think 2 callers before said there's nobody that's going to hire Dabo if Clemson did fire him. I don't believe that. 2 national championships that looks pretty good to everyone. And he's at least proven it before. Somebody's going to, there's teams a lot more desperate than we are that would
Right.
100% bring him in. But just, I think this might be the last thing I got. It's crazy that, like, you know, we talk about the systems and setting things up, and clearly they're not working. And, you know, that happens in every football game. But what's really alarming is, like, Clemson doesn't even really seem to luck into stuff. You know, like, there ain't never a time where, let's say, a tackle pulls and TJ Parker gets a free shot at the quarterback and causes a strip sack.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's happened in years prior, but I think we all thought 2023 is the unluckiest year that we've ever had. This 2025 is making a pretty strong case because you don't even you get some bad breaks, and you don't really get any good breaks.
No. I'm with you. I'm going to go on record as saying this. I believe right now, unless something crazy, I'm talking about like a unicorn wins the lottery crazy, you know, impossible, you know, getting attacked by a shark, all while winning $500 million on Powerball at the same time. This will go down as a worse year than 2023.
Oh yeah, like record wise for sure.
Yeah, this is going to go down as a worse year, and it makes absolutely no sense until you get to the coaching. I'm there. That's where I'm at, and until I'm proven wrong, which I've hoped to be wrong, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
I just think we're going to lose. Oh, that's what I mean. Is that we're just going to lose? You know.
Right. It goes back to how goes back to how this started. That's hard times, Daddy.
Yeah.
So
very difficult.
But I think that's all I got.
Well, Larry, it's good to hear from you, my man.
That's yeah. Yep. You have a good night.
You take care, dude. It's good to hear from you.
See you. Yep.
Later.
See you.
Larry there, offering the words. And here's the thing that you hear within the calls. If you read through the comments section, here's something that you hear. There is a hope. Even when Brad was talking about, you can fire Sweeney, Brian. Why wouldn't you fire him? Because and he named out a lot of valid reasons. Unfortunately, we get it, but even with him, there is this deep desire that us Clemson fans, we really want Sweeney to just go. It's like watching a movie, and you pretty much know how it's going to go. Like, there was even a commercial that was made within the past 10 years where, you know, why do people make dumb decisions in scary movies? And it was like, why don't we go get in the car and drive away? No. Why would we do that? Let's go hide in that shop over there with all the knives and chainsaws hanging. And it's like the killer is back there, and he's like, looks at them like, that's the dumbest thing. Why would they do that? You know, it was a joke. It was a funny insurance commercial. I think it was Progressive that did that. It was hilarious. But we're watching this, and we're yelling at the screen, Dabo, no. Dabo, we don't want you fired, man. We do appreciate you. Man, why won't you just accept your coaching staff is not at a Clemson level. Do they need to quit coaching? No, a lot of them needs to go they need to be led somewhere else. They need to ripen on the tree of coaching somewhere else. And they're still going to make a ton of money, by the way. It's not like they're going to end up in a cheese line somewhere. Okay? We're going to have to take up an offering to put a bag of groceries on these guys' table. They'll be just fine. And you know how I am. I don't want to call for people to be fired. At the same time, they are just not. They've already proven it. Sorry. They've already proven it. They've been given ample time, excuse me. Yeah. And the most important result with a football team, the whole reason you pull a football team together is to compete to win ball games. Look at the win-loss column. Well, we had 6 consecutive years. Whoa, hold on. I mean this respectfully. Again, that's many years ago now. That was a whole different coaching staff, which proves my point. Since that coaching staff moved on, there ain't no 6 consecutive college football playoffs. You got lucky to get 10 wins last year because Syracuse helped a buddy out. The vast majority of Clemson fans are at a really weird place because they really I don't want Dabo fired at all. And by the way, they're not going to fire him. They can't afford it. Who are they going to get? And that would make the university look awful. So if he burns it down, it's his to burn down. I don't care how many years you gave to Iptay and thought you were part of a family. But we're all yelling at the screen just like you would be yelling in a movie. Don't go in that room. Don't open that door. We're yelling, Dabo, just accept that you need to bring in the best position coaches and coordinators in the country. Just do it, dude. And you will go back to winning. You'll win big games. And just let them run the team. You walk out there and do like you used to do. You dealt with the media, but you trusted your coaches. Maybe that's a problem too. I don't know. But nobody really wants this guy fired. But we are yelling at the screen, Dabo, please. We agree you have a lot of football left in you. Don't take that time that you have left as a football coach and be stubborn and unwilling to admit this coaching staff is not up to snuff. Up to snuff. You like how I use that? Yeah. There we go. It's about not time for me anyway. Yeah. I think I'll tell you this, and I'm going to end with this. By the way, I am simulcasting on my other channel called Another College Football Podcast. As we speak, I'm simulcasting over there, and I'm going to ask you this. I want you to go over there. The link is below the video. All you have to do is click on it and just subscribe. There's 65 of you in here. Subscribe. Other thing is, pass it along to anyone who loves college football. Pass it along on forums, on Facebook. It's my new channel. I talk about college football as a whole. And I'm telling you something. You may be like, you know what, Brian? I'm busy. I really don't pay attention to college football as a whole. But I love my Clemson team. I am telling you. Take it from someone who is learning so much about other schools and other teams. The money that is being poured into schools and the coaches are actually using it to be competitive. Oregon is one of them. Dan Lanning is just next level. Oregon has that Nike tie, whether you like it or not. And I have heard I have heard that they're even revamping that incredible facility they already have. I mean, Dan Lanning looks out and he sees construction everywhere. But when you dive into other college football teams, no matter what conference they play in, no matter whether a blue blood team who's been winning for a while or a new team who is stepping it up, Indiana. I'm not saying Indiana's one of the best teams in the country, but they're way better than what they were. I think we could all agree on that. Texas was overrated. No offense, Longhorns. Have connection to a major Austin, Texas TV station. Had me on during the playoff, and that was very kind of them. I'm not taking shots at the Longhorns, but the Longhorns, you knew that they were overrated. When I looked at how many people they had lost, I went, and why are they in the top 5 or something like that, top 7? That doesn't make sense. When you learn more about other schools and then you look at Clemson, I hate to tell you, you get an even more grim look, a more grim look on Clemson football. Because if you stay in that nucleus of Clemson football, you still hear about 16 and 18 and 6 consecutive playoffs. And no, I'm not being a jerk there. I'm serious. I'm telling you this. And your mind is lulled into this delusion that was just a few years ago, when in fact 16 was 9 years ago and 18 was 7 years ago. And then you realize that so much has changed. And then it makes you depressed when it comes to football. And so go check out that channel. I previewed teams, previewed games. I picked Miami to win. They won last night. I did pick Texas A&M, but I felt like Mississippi State could hang with them. Mississippi State didn't hang with them. I think they're a little hungover from that loss to Tennessee. But yeah, check out that channel and pass it along. Thoughts on Clemson right here. I've been talking about it forever. I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say this today. I will pull for Clemson. I've been pulling for Clemson for so many years. I pulled for them when they were 3-8 in 1998. I've pulled for them when I knew 8 wins were, that was their ceiling. No matter who we brought in, it was just going to be that way. It was nice when you would upset Florida State from time to time, maybe pull off a win against Miami. But at the end of the day, you knew that Clemson would be nothing more than an 8, possibly 9 win football team. Okay. I'm going to pull for them either way, but my expectation is different. I don't expect Clemson to be a contender anymore. This season, more than any, has proven there is no longer a championship mindset in Clemson. And I'm talking about a championship mindset on the field. It's the reason that the stadium was built, was to play football. It's the reason that you hand out scholarships. Well, it's supposed to be. The reason that you hand out scholarships and now sign NIL deals for millions of dollars. And that is Clemson's supposed to compete at a high level. And the paychecks are there for the coaches and the players. But the product is not there. And I, for one, am not expecting anything out of Clemson anytime in the near future until it's proven otherwise. And I said this yesterday. The next time Clemson plays a really good football team and it seems like Clemson may have a little steam going, I'm not picking Clemson to win that ball game. No, that's not being pessimistic. That's called being a realistic, logical human being that says, well, let me see what history says. History says this group of coaches can't beat a good football team. I'm not encouraging gambling, but the idea of gambling is basically you're looking at risk and you're going, oh, I'll take this risk over that risk. Would you agree? If you had to put money on Clemson beating a big football team, What would you put it on? I mean, I know now the answer is pretty clear, but if we wiped out these past 5 games we've played, or Clemson's played this season, if you wiped out those 5 games and you just looked at history over the past, well, since about 2020-ish, 2019-ish, 2020, and I know you're like, well, Trevor was playing then. You realize that Clemson got hammered, I think, by the only top 10 team they played that year, and that was Ohio State in the first round. You realize that, don't you? I mean, they got emasculated by Ohio State, and that was with Trevor. And the reason why is because we started seeing some of those coaches already starting to slip out the door, but just a little bit. And there was complacency that fell into Clemson too. The mass coach change hadn't happened yet, but it was about to. So I'll pump my brakes on that a little bit, but there was complacency that was already falling into Clemson at that moment. It was almost like we can show up and win. We don't even have to scheme anymore, which is not okay. But if you logically looked at the past 4 seasons and said, hey, stop humming the tiger rag and all that bunch of stuff, we need you to make a rational decision. Like if it was your job, would you bet that Clemson is going to win against a top 10 football team, top 15 football team, but especially top 10? Well, we went to 6 consecutive playoffs. Stop. That's not what I ask you. I ask you to make a rational decision. Well, you know that we have put so many players in the NFL. That was not the question. Well, we built that Oculus over there. It's really cool. Just one day I expect Elon Musk to put some chargers under that sucker. It just flies off into space. No, that's not what I was asking. There we go again. I asked, based on recent history over the past 4 or 5 years, will Clemson beat a top 10 football team? It's your job now. You'll be held accountable. No. No, they won't. Right answer. So if you're supposed to be a good football team, but you can't beat a good football team, I think we just got our answer there. But now we definitely know it. And it's sad. I get on here and I talk about this so seriously. I say this all the time. This is a channel where I talk about Clemson football. What am I supposed to do? Get on here and all right, guys, calm down. This really ain't that. It's not important in the grand scheme of things. I have way more important things going on in my life than Clemson football. This is not even a speck on the windshield of my life. And I've said that a lot recently, but I just want to get that across. But when I come on here and I'm talking about Clemson football, this is a Clemson football channel. So of course, I'm not going to act like I'm a counselor at the local school. I'm going to have some fun here. But I'm also going to tell the truth. And the truth is, unfortunately for us, it's I just don't think that. I don't think we're going to see any real changes for a while. And I'm going to leave it there. But I'll still pull for him. Folks, leave in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Hope you'll subscribe. Remember, it's free. If you like what I'm doing, it is free. Pass it along on your forums, Facebook, whatever you pass it on, do that. Just don't put it on a bathroom wall. How would you do that, by the way? That'd be weird. Anyway, it's good to see all y'all in here. Thanks to all the callers who came in here and offered their thoughts and so on. It's always nice to talk to people who is just as passionate about college football as I am. And, looks at things, maybe disagree with me. Totally fine. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't. And that's one of the nice things on here as well. We don't have to agree, but we can do it civilly. It used to be a thing we did in this country, but now some people, when they disagree with you, they say, well, that's because of this horrible reason. They say something bad about you that would be really, really damaging to, well, your life and your reputation. And so, we need to get back to civilly disagreeing. You can get a little heated, but you can be civil. So it's good. It's good when we can do that. Folks, y'all take care of yourself. Hope you have a good